Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Football Uncensored podcast, latest episode, featuring, of course, John Sitton, myself, Rob Kirton, asking a few questions and uh, saying the odd bit of wisdom every now and then. First off, apologies, we've had a few weeks off again. The old work diaries just haven't managed to join up for John and I the last few weeks. It's Friday evening, the 10th of April, as we record. West Ham Wolves currently playing in the Premier League. Millwall currently playing in the Championship tonight. Both 0-0 currently, I think. Um, it won't surprise recent listeners to hear that we're going to talk a little bit about North London, not Spurs. Focus a bit on the red half on this episode if we can. We'll try not to get drawn into Spurs, but we'll see how we go. Anyway, that's enough ramble from me. John, how are you, mate? Good to see you.
Yeah, you too. Not bad, mate. Yeah, it's all good. Tough couple of weeks. I've had probably a week. It was a week on Wednesday. I've done me back every now and again. It happened a couple of times a year, literally.
Ooh,
And work's been crap because of the Easter holidays, and I mean minging, absolute dire. And I've wasted too many days going out trying to eke out a living, and then after 3, 4 hours, 5 hours, giving up and coming home. Depending on whether it fits. So I'd like to have put my time to better use there. But having said that, I don't think I could have done anything around the house, particularly like in the garden, because just wear and tear on my body. I was literally been bending over, like brushing my teeth or what's left of them, and as I've straightened up, just boom, snatched, and I feel the crunch, and then like basically I can
ooh.
barely walk, incapacitated big time. But it's eased off now. It eased off about Sunday. Went round my daughter's, so I could start to walk normal Monday, um, and just start getting back into it. I think today's more or less the first pain-free day I've had. Yeah. So lo and behold, I was out in the I was out in the garden, uh, doing the weed like it's like day of the Triffids out there. You know what I mean? So I was out there trying to do a bit of weeding and a bit of pruning. But since we last
Yeah,
spoke,
been out.
a lot of stuff's happened. I've got to tell you, and one or two bits and pieces in there. Yeah, like not predictions as such, but just what I said about the psyche of football and how people can be affected.
Mm.
But um, had a Premier League ex-Premier League manager in the cab. Had another ex-Premier League manager today quoting "Bring your dinner." But in his own little way, because they got an early kick off Arsenal. It was
Yeah, saw
brilliant
that.
because there's so many lovely people I come across on Twitter. Lovely, you get the odd wind up troll keyboard warrior dog, and then like you just reply to them and
Mm.
block them. You know what I mean? The majority of people they now see the other side of me, and we're backwards and forwards with banter, and very supportive, very kind, very informative, make me aware of stuff. People in the cab trade, people who love their football, um, you know, supporters of clubs that I played for, supporters of clubs that I supported or was brought up to support. People at other clubs where I've sort of touched on them in my autobiography. Uh, they made me aware today of Mikel Arteta. He's saying we got an early kickoff. I'm paraphrasing, but like he was paraphrasing me. So he said we want our supporters to get behind us, etc. So have a good early breakfast and bring lunch and bring your dinner. And then he had a chuckle. He said, "How you say in England?" I don't know. I don't know whether he's seen the video, but anyway, but a lot of people pointed it out.
Maybe.
Oh, yeah, hoping I was on royalties. I just said that ship sailed. I wish I was on royalties, believe me, because that bookmaker's
If
been
only, John,
used.
eh? If
Yeah,
only.
yeah, yeah. The bookmaking adverts alone, they've used loads of quotes.
Mm.
Um, anyway, there we are. We're here.
Well, well,
Let's just talk about the game we
yeah.
love.
Well, speaking of Mr. Arteta and his paraphrasing of your good self, um, we'll start there. Going back a few weeks now, as I said, apologies, we've been off a few weeks,
Mm,
and but it is something that you mentioned towards in the last episode or the one
yeah,
before that,
I
and it
think I
was the
did.
possible impact of the EFL Cup or the Carabao Cup final
Yeah,
result.
yeah.
Obviously, City Arsenal. City winning it 1-0. We both watched it. I suppose easiest thing to hand over to you, John, to sort of do the second half of your preview of the psyche of the game and the impact of the result, I
No,
suppose. How do you
I
see
just
it?
thought, yeah, I just thought at the time it was leading up to it. It was massive for a number of reasons. You know what I mean? Get his hands on some silverware, um, and B, deny City. C, have the scales tip in their favour with regards to what we all know. Those of us that have been in it, we've been in like a like a disappointing, let's say, environment on the whether it's on the day, whether it's luckily enough, I've like playoffs and all that. I didn't experience that because like we got promotion, so slightly different. Um, because it was longer term and it weren't a one-off game, as in 50-50. But I do know the negative effect or the downside it can have if you get beat by your main rivals in the title race, it would seem. Um, and then with regards to how you're going to react in the next cup, because I honestly thought that I never ever believed or bought into the media hype with regards to a quadruple. I think that's impossible for a club in England. Um, I don't know, a club abroad could probably do it if they've got three domestic trophies and then they get a European Cup. It's quite plausible that they could do it. I just think it's just too A, the amount of fixtures, and B, in this country the competitive edge and the rivalries with regards to derbies, the amount of derbies they have to play. That's just one, for instance. That's just one example. So I never ever bought into the media hype of a quadruple. I didn't believe it. It sells stories which sell papers.
I was going to
It
say it's
fit.
a nice, easy thing to toss around in it for
Yeah, yeah. It fills in a bit of time when they're, if they're doing like if they're lacking in items on Talksport or they're lacking in items on Sky, whatever, because they've got all these different panel shows now. Um, I did think that it would have an adverse effect, and I think it probably spilled over a little bit into the game against Southampton because it's like now, and I think he had to convince everybody, or maybe it didn't need any convincing, with the number of injuries with regards to pulling out of the England squad, etc. So he didn't really, on
it.
paper, didn't on the face of it, not taking anything away from Southampton because I thought they played it superbly, and I watched the game itself and I thought they were fantastic, and it confirmed the old Bob Paisley saying it's not about the short pass, it's not about the long pass, it's about the right pass, and I thought they created and made Arsenal cover a lot of ground. They created a lot of problems just by being direct, but in a nice way, with a good, long, accurate ball out to the winger who roasted the geezer who I'm not a fan of. And then I'll say my bit. So what? We're all entitled to an opinion, except for an ex professional footballer and an ex coach for 9 years, and albeit perceived as mismanagement, although they don't know this half of it and the stories going on there, which I can bring out and go into more detail. And you, what are you talking about? You had no chance, or you could never play at that level. And I said, listen, mate, I played with household names who couldn't play at that level. I'm just saying he's lucky to be playing at that level. And it was your left winger against the geezer White, who had he's done the thing with the walking along the promenade with his missus hand in hand, Ibiza, this and that, the plucked eyebrows, the tattoos, the tan, blah blah blah, and then just openly admits he don't like football, not interested in football, don't watch football. Well, what's that about? Then having I think he got. Someone said that's actually what he was questioned over by Steve Holland, and he had a row and he felt mugged off in front of his teammates and blood, and that's why he left the England thing. So once you walk out, I'm inclined to say, well, you're not going to be called back, but maybe it was just a stopgap. But I've got no idea whatsoever why it is Tuchel called him up. He got roasted against Southampton. He got roasted against he didn't necessarily get roasted against Uruguay, but he definitely got a bit of a chasing against Japan, and he got caught too high many, many times. Uh, so he's on one mindset with the Arsenal, and I'm not being funny in reply to the geezer's accusations, whoever he was, another keyboard warrior. I ain't being funny. I played right back many times. So it's just give it to Saka and have a breather in it, and clip the odd decent little ball into the second 6 yard box. Can't be that odd if you've got the majority of possession. You know what I mean? So I don't know how great a player he's got to be to play in that side at right back. As a starting as of, if I remember rightly, I quite rated him at Brighton, and then I think he came to the Arsenal as a centre back, and then bigger, better, quicker, more powerful centre backs came along, and he
Yeah,
somehow managed to be accommodated at right back. Yeah, but yeah, a lot of water under the bridge, and I think the psyche has kicked in. Um, but he's shown today on Twitter that he's in the pre-match press conference doing the rounds about to bring your dinner malarkey. I'll be honest with you, he's showing a freshness and an appetite, and the fact that he's up for it. He looked like very bright. Looks at it like he's had a good. This is the manager Arteta. He's had a good night's kip and looked very fresh faced and very much up for it. So yeah, he's calling the supporters for for the battle cry, as it were. Be ready because we're ready, and we're going to need you up. And we're going to need to do it together. Um, I still think that
But-
it's a big game, the City game. It's a big game because it's and then the game in hand, and that whittles it down to 3 points.
yeah, potentially. He gets a lot of stick out there, doesn't he, on in the media and on social media like Twitter, X as we know it, and not least by his own fans, Arsenal fans, more than more than non-Arsenal fans, it seems to me. And obviously, the biggest stick they beat him with is one you alluded to earlier, um, about not getting his hands on a trophy, or not since I think his first or maybe second season anyway.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, John, at the moment, again, albeit as you say, game in hand and the big game in a couple of weeks versus City, they're
Mm,
9 points clear in the
mm,
league. They're in the Champions League quarterfinals and 1-0 up.
yeah.
They've had the two blips that you've briefly spoken about already. We might do a little bit more on the tactics and the performance as well.
I watched that
But
game, by the way, the Lisbon game. That was a
mm,
proper smash and grab. That was a proper smash and grab. That was a fantastic old school Arsenal performance. And
1-0 to the Arsenal.
yeah, yeah. And I just thought they defended magnificently. They kept the ball well. They Sporting Lisbon on the break when they could. They looked very threatening. I thought we made the substitutions fantastic and at the right time. And I thought they tried their best to control the tempo of the game, although it was away. The goalkeeper was outstanding, absolutely magnificent. Probably the best in the Premier League at this moment in time. Um, Maybe one of the best in Europe, if not the world. Um, seems to do everything really well. They were well worth the win. That was a proper smash, old school smash and grab. And they've got that second leg to come at home, which is midweek next week. I think
Yeah,
I think I can confidently say that they should make the last four. Whether they can that final thing, um, whether they're good enough to take on and beat the likes of PSG and Madrid at the moment. And I think they've got a bit of an hammering from PSG in the league stage. If my memory serves me right, I'm not sure. But anyway, I just think they're not quite ready to take that last thing at the moment. Listen, all the bottom line is, Rob, like the supporters, some of them know what they're looking at, some of them don't know what they're looking at. Some of them are knowledgeable, some of them are not particularly knowledgeable. The one thing that most of them have got in common is they're very fickle. Hard to please, want immediate gratification, right? He's got to try and build a strong squad, which is what he's done. He started off having to address the problem areas, which you could see from outer space, and I said it for a couple of years, couple of free seasons, long before anyone said it on Match of the Day. He's got problem areas. You can look at it, bump, and watch from August to October. Right, so mid-August to say the end of September, beginning of October. So you're looking at a dozen fixtures if you include the cups, right? There or thereabouts. You can see that it needed to address the goalkeeping situation, centre backs. I did say full back, so he needed more or less three out of a back four or a completely new back four. Um, the guy who's injured at the moment, I think he's been magnificent. Uh, Justin, is it
Jurriën Timber, is it? Justin Tim yeah,
Ju
Jurriën Timber,
Julian
the right
Timber?
back
Yeah,
centre half
the
you're on
right
about.
back. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I think the other geezer then he don't get a look in. Um, and then I said midfield. The only thing I still think that they could be a bit more solid. It's just a central midfield player like screens the back four or screens the centre backs.
Mm.
He addressed the forward areas. Jesus, um, Martinelli's had more of a look in. Gyökeres has been bought in. Saka's burst on the scene. He's added to that with Madueke, who I think he could probably come inside Saka and play inside as well, and you could play the both of them. Um, yeah, they're looking a very strong outfit. And what he's had to do in the meantime, while he's been piecing all those pieces of the jigsaw together, he's had to try and win games. So what can you do? It's the like I said, it's the nature of the beast. I said it on the documentary. It's the nature of the beast. You know what I mean? The only thing I should have thought of what Harry said. I've really enjoyed working with seven of you. Um, you know what I mean? But I didn't think of it at the time. I didn't think of it at the time. I think when he got the tin tack at Pompey, he said, I've enjoyed working with five here or six here, which is obviously a side swipe at the ones who he didn't rate or weren't doing it for him and were cheats.
Mm. Good
Yeah,
old hindsight.
yeah. Bit of hindsight. Just throw that in there. Yeah, I just think it bodes well now. Um, they've had the psychological blow of being out of two cups. He tried to get away with fielding a weakened side because of the supposed injuries that also led to him withdrawing from England. Um, Come unstuck against a very competent Southampton side.
Well, I'll shamelessly, or unashamedly, name the player who gave Ben White a hard time and was quite prominent. You and I spoke about him.
Number 13 he plays, doesn't he?
Number 13, yeah,
Yeah.
Leo Cienza from he's Brazilian. We plucked him from I forget the name of the club. I'm sure my mates watching this will give me a hard time about it, but relative obscurity in Germany, 7 million odd, I think.
Just still,
Bit
wasn't
of
it?
a, bit of a bargain in
Yeah,
today's market.
and he looks well worth the money, in today's market. Looks like they've got a blinding deal for one very dangerous individual. A lot what I liked about him is he was very comfortable receiving the ball in tight areas, and then he shredded him. You know what I mean? He's great acceleration and good little dribbling techniques. Looks to lend it into the front man and get it back if he gets pushed inside. Yeah, I just thought fantastic performance all round by him. Remains to be seen now. I mean, they've recovered. They've obviously showed they've recovered mentally because the players that were out and they came back into the side against Sporting. Um, they've got that mental toughness, mental resilience back. And believe me, periods where they had to defend for their lives. Um,
Mm.
so they look like they've recovered from the two setbacks, as in losing the League Cup final to Man City and getting knocked out of the FA Cup by Southampton. So although it was never realistic, I said one down, three to go, and then it was like two down, two to go. Realistically, I think this is my opinion. I think City will do a cup double. That's my prediction from now. I think Arsenal will hang on and win the league. I'd love to see them do well in Europe as well. I would love that. I just think that just that final step. And you've got all the other little factors, like with the French, they're giving them the week off before their next tie.
Yeah.
It's been going all the way through the tournament,
Mm.
like the knockout stage, and they're giving them a week's rest in the French league, Ligue 1. They have a breather and just get ready for Europe. You know what I mean? Because of the prestige of it. That don't happen here. But
No, very much not. Very much not.
yeah.
Going back to the FA Cup, if we may. Um, One or two of the other quarterfinals were a little bit
Oh,
of a different story for other Premier League clubs. I think we'll go to Chelsea versus Port Vale briefly and first if we can. Slightly different outcome for the Premier League side against the lower league side.
better athletes, better players, better technique. One assumes better organised or better coached because of the status of the club. So he might, although it's nowhere near the true. Um, Everyone knows as much as everybody else. People say it in different ways. Um, the game is the game. It's always been the same game. Um, but I've got to be honest, it's probably at best a training game for Chelsea. And I
Mm.
most certainly wouldn't have set up like that, whether it was Chelsea pushed them back. Um, but I thought they settled for defending too deep. Port Val, they never got into them, they never got amongst them. They never really troubled Chelsea at all. And like I said, it was tantamount to a training game. I thought it was quite embarrassing, to lose 7-0. I played in a couple of games where we beat the opposition 8-0. The year we went up, I think we beat Colchester 8-0. I remember scoring and making a couple, and we beat Rochdale away 8-0. I think
Blimey.
Stevie Castle got 4 or 5 in that game. I think he got 5. He might have got a double hat trick. I can't remember. I just remember it being 8-0. And
Well,
it,
I have to
it
look that
gets
one
to,
up.
yeah, it just gets to the stage where you take out. I mean, the damage is done. You know what I mean? But the last 10, 15 minutes out of professional courtesy, you take your foot off the gas a little bit and just have a keep ball. Get ready for the next game. You know what I mean? And I think Chelsea were ready for the next game long before the final whistle went in that. And you can see very easily why it is they're down near the bottom of the division they're in, Port Vale.
Mm. Other quarter final. Oh, well, not the other two others. One other was City, Liverpool. City obviously gave Liverpool a bit of a spanking. Liverpool not doing that well lately. Lost last night in Europe to PSG. Didn't look particularly great. Did certainly didn't look particularly great against City. Any words of encouragement for
Not
the Red
really,
Hens from
no.
Merseyside?
No, what's happened's happened. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they part company with him this year. Um, 400 400 and something
400
mil,
and a lot.
490 million. So
Yeah,
half a billion.
that sounds like a
Um,
stick to get beat
Mo
with.
Salah, well, I thought he was. I concur with what someone said on the radio. Yeah, he said I actually thought he was older, but he's been around for so long since a 17-year-old. And he got let go by Chelsea, ironically, but he's still only 31. So I still thought he was good for another 2, 3 years. But he's having it on his toes. New horizons. I don't know whether it be silly money in Saudi Arabia, whether it be America, who's being linked with all sorts of European clubs. Um,
Mm.
you've got the geezer they were battling with Newcastle with to buy. He's hardly kicked a ball for injury. And the other geezer with he dyed his hair blonde. I forgot his name. Is it Ekatike?
Yeah,
Ekatike.
that's him. TK.
He hasn't really. He's blown hot and cold. Um, and then they've had problem areas I think, with the fullback areas since Trent
Mm.
Alexander-Arnold left. That's not really been pinned down. I think last year with his name, the Scottish captain,
Robertson.
Robertson's been a fantastic servant. And then it's like, is it him or is it the other geezer they bought from Bournemouth? Um, there's always a mistake in Canati, as I said in many podcasts ago. Van Dijk ain't been his usual self because it brings pressure to bear if you having to keep worrying about your partner.
Mm.
Um, and then centre midfield, I just don't think that's settled. Yeah,
No.
so there'll be no way back against PSG. Yeah, against PSG. Um, City with I watched that game as well, and they were purring like I've never been like that sort of brash, and I've always been bit discreet, really, with regards to cars. But my favourite car was the Shelby Mustang in American Gangster, driven by the Bent Cop. They were purring like a Shelby Mustang. Unbelievable that day. Unbelievable City were that day. And it all knits in. So they won the League Cup, purring like a Shelby Mustang against Liverpool, and then they've got the league. So it's all knitting together quite nicely at just the right time, which is a dangerous sign for everybody else. I hope it
Oh, yeah.
isn't because I want the Premier League to come to London, obviously.
Yeah. Big couple of weeks coming up there. Very quickly, a bit unfair to leave out the fourth quarter final. Very briefly, it was West Ham Leeds.
Yeah,
West Ham looked like they're well out. Very late comeback, only for it to go to pens and ultimate disappointment. Did you see any of that game,
I
John?
did. Yeah, and that's West Ham for you, isn't it? And it's like they could just like they pull off like a virtual like footballing miracle all the way through their history against all the odds. Unbelievable performance on the day, um, but then they let it slip. Well, they've got like what he used to call a soft southern underbelly. One of my ex-managers, and it was like it's almost as if it's a trait. Let me tell you something. I think maybe if they could have their time again, instead of saying your contract's not going to be renewed, it would have been interesting to see if they'd have kept him for another couple of years, Moyes. Because there's certain managers like the kid riding the cab, right? He would have it would have been a blinding move for him, right? Sean Dyche, you know, I'll, there's certain managers you it probably did and it probably has happened, but I just whether it's the way they come across, I just couldn't see it happening. Like, once they made the comeback, I couldn't see him letting under those type of people letting it slip again. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's a shame. You know what I mean? Chelsea lead semi. That sort
few
of
memories.
evocative like memories of my first evening at Mitcham as a thing. They said we want you to come and sign schoolboy. What does that mean? Well, it means you can't go to any other clubs. You can't train at any other clubs. No other clubs can sign you. Da, da, da. So I did that, and I remember that was 1974. And then we did a little bit of training on the first, and they said, right, what we're going to do, we want you to watch this. We're going to show you this. And it was just after the era of, so it was the 69, it was the film with the 69-70 FA Cup final. So on the Monday night, we watched the first one at Wembley, which was a dire turgid affair, and then probably one of the most brutal games in the history of the game. Never mind FA Cup history. The replay at Old Trafford, which Chelsea won 2-1 with Webby getting the winner. That was on the Thursday. Yeah, so that evoked memories of that.
Mm.
Um, I think Chelsea might have too much in the locker, and it's a bit of a we call it a shift saver if we get an unbelievable job when it's been absolutely minging. I think it could save their season. It could save Chelsea's season and get them to Wembley. And I fancy, all due respect, little steamroller Southampton. It could be a bit of a naughty score. It might not be. I'll probably be wrong. I'll probably be wrong. It'll probably be closer than one would think. But I think it'll be a a Chelsea City final. And the funny thing is, Nottingham made one of the last times they played in the final, Nottingham made one of my pals, and he like looked after me when I had COVID, and I nearly the tiddlywinks nearly killed me. Um, he sent me down a lovely hamper, a lovely Harrods hamper. But before that, he took me to League Cup final, Chelsea v City, and I think it'd be a repeat.
I remember you saying that.
Yeah, it'd be a Chelsea City final, I fancy. And well, I'll tell you what struck me that game. I was sitting next to him. I was talking. I didn't give him a running commentary because I wanted to look at it both ways as a supporter and as a um, maybe like spotting things as a coach or a manager. The amount of times when Chelsea had a fantastic patch of about 20 minutes, they had a proper purple patch, and City just kept stopping the game, just like free kick
Mm.
after free kick after free kick after free kick, and it was like proper watching a proper continental, old school Spanish or Italian side. In this case, a Spanish manager. So he obviously educated them in the dark arts, or just maybe gave a nod to them. And he didn't really notice it, Adrian, not in a mate. And I said to him, look how many times I keep stopping the game. He went, yeah, you're right. He goes, yeah. And that was it. Spoke their rhythm, and they City ended up winning it. And I could literally
Mm.
reach out and, if I wanted to, touch them as they come up the steps to get the cup. The seats were good, really good. He was a Club England member.
Well, we
Yeah,
never know. John, history could repeat itself. I've always, since I don't often well, I don't know. I never wish you wrong, but I hope you're massively wrong with
Of
your
course you
FA
do.
Cup semi-final prediction on
Yeah,
50% of it.
yeah,
I hope you're right with Chelsea. Chelsea Saints final. How about that? Maybe we'll see. I can
yeah.
dream.
Can't
I
think of
can
anything
dream.
worse. Yeah, you dream on.
I've on that lovely note.
On that
We've only got a couple of minutes to
on that
go, so
positive note, yeah.
yeah, lovely way to end. Cheers. Right, thank you
I
very much
just
all from me
it's what's
again.
happened to me, Rob. I only deal in reality now. Sorry.
That's the best way to be, John.
I
Best
used
way
to,
to be.
yeah, I had a dream once.
Yeah, best way to be.
Yeah.
But no, thank you all from me. Patience for sticking with us. Again, like I say, sorry. We all know, everyone knows John drives a black cab. I do shift work. It's not always easy for us to join the dots on our time, but we do our best and we will continue to do so. So thank you, everybody. Watch, share, subscribe, like, comment. We've had loads of comments on the last few episodes. Really appreciate them, and we will try and answer any questions in
In the
subsequent
next one.
episodes that
Yeah,
we get asked.
that's right. Yeah, in the next one. All right,
Cheers from
mate.
me.
Yeah, me too. Thanks for your time again, Rob. And like he said, just to repeat, watch, like, share, subscribe. Keep your comments coming. Really appreciate a lot of positive stuff. And thank you very much indeed. See you next time.
Absolutely.